Okay, video number 2. This time we're going to take a look at checkmates. Very important. If we get an advantage, we need to be able to convert it. So we're going to look at 3 basic checkmates here, and I'm going to give you a resource where you can practice these checkmates to make sure you got it. You can practice on the computer or on your app. So let's dive right in, and we're going to jump to lichess.org. If you type in lichess.org, and a link will be in the comments, you will go up at the top, learn, and then practice, and it's going to take you to piece checkmates. And as you'll see as I'm making the moves, the black king will move for me so I can practice. So we need to understand checkmate. Checkmate is when we're attacking the king, and no matter what, he cannot get out of check. He can't block with anything, he can't take the piece that's attacking him, and he can't run. So in this case, I have a queen and a rook. So let's see the staircase. The easiest way to do the staircase is to bring the rook and queen together like so. And in all checkmates we're going to look at, you want to trap the defending king on the edge of the chessboard. Once we've trapped him on the edge of the chessboard, it typically makes it very easy to win. So now, this is called making the box smaller. When I put my rook here, notice how I've taken all these squares. A king can never move into check. You can't ever capture a king in chess. So all this king can do is move around in these squares that we've left in the box. And I want you to see how we're going to make this box smaller and smaller. So now I'm going to move my queen up, and notice how the rook's covering these squares, my queen's covering these squares, and the box is slowly getting smaller. And we call this the staircase because it's left leg, right leg, just like walking up the stairs. So now when we move the rook up, queen cut off those squares, rook cuts off these, and they go, well, Mr. Tillis, can't the king take the rook here? Well, that would be moving into check because the queen protects the rook, and you can never move into check. So it's very simple here to give checkmate. We move the queen up, and it's checkmate, and it wants to take us to the next one when we have 2 rooks. Well, I'm going to bring the rook up, make the box smaller, and he's getting close to us, so I'm going to bring the rook all the way over here. And notice, just like the previous checkmate, all I've done is make the box smaller, and boop. And we're going to go directly to the king and queen checkmate now. So, make the box smaller, trap him on the edge of the board, checkmate him. Not a very difficult multi-step process. So, I'm going to move my queen to start with, and I've made the box as small as I can. Now, I want to make the box smaller. Let's move my king a little bit closer to the action. Now watch as every time I move my queen, I'm going to make the box smaller until his king gets trapped on the back rank, edge of the chessboard. So I'm just gradually making the box smaller, move by move here. I'm just staying 1 move diagonal, and now he's on the edge of the chessboard. This should be a key indicator for us to trap him there. So I'm moving my queen to trap him on the edge of the chessboard. Now, when we saw the queen and rook checkmate, we needed the rook so we could checkmate him. Well, in this case, if I move my queen here, he's just going to move his king from the trap. We need the king. We're going to bring our king directly in front of his, and now we have checkmate. King protects the queen and took away all squares. We got one last checkmate we're going to do, the king and rook checkmate. And unlike the queen, the rook can't protect himself. So the king and rook are going to stay together for this checkmate. So I've gotten my box. Now I want to make it smaller. When I can move the rook to take space and make the box smaller, I want to move the rook. When I can't move the rook, I want to move the king. So I can make the box smaller, and now he's trapped on the edge of the board, making the box smaller. Now let's continue this process to make the box smaller. Now we've made it to where he can only, there's our box, he can only safely move between these two squares. Now we've got him. Let's bring our king up, and when he goes in the corner, squish. Now that does it for our checkmates, and remember again, you can go to lichess.org either on your phone, through the app, or on the computer, and practice these in the exact same format that I just showed you in for this video.